What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith with another GSD interview, where every single week we interview top entrepreneurs, top fitness and health professionals, and really just top badasses that exist in their industry that just dominate their space. So today, honored and stoked to have a good buddy of mine in the studio. He's actually my lender. He operates a large mortgage team here in the state of Arizona, just crushing it, doing some big things, but also really, when we talk about serial entrepreneurs, right? Like, what is a serial entrepreneur? Serial entrepreneur is somebody that goes out there, that starts other businesses or buys other businesses, builds them up, and then flips those businesses and sells them. So, Ricky has been involved in a lot of other business building, selling other businesses, flipping other businesses. So truly, really a serial entrepreneur. So today I'm honored and stoked to have my buddy on the show, Ricky Miles. Thanks for being on the show, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So you got a lot of shit going on, dude. I think we were talking right before we started the podcast. I mean, already year to date, as of May 31st, 2015, you've already done like $65 million in production.
Correct. That's our branch. So me and my team, throughout the branch have funded roughly $65 million, like 321 units. So pretty good average. Of course, trying to get better and build that out, but doing good thus far for the year. It's been a great year so far.
That's epic, man. That's killer, dude. So we'll get into that pretty heavily. But before we do that, dude, I want to kind of rewind the clocks here a little bit. Like talk about what your journey's been like getting into the entrepreneur world. I know you've done a lot of different shit, dude. So let's kind of rewind the clocks, dude. Like, okay, you graduate high school. Right. Like, where do you go? What's happened from there? What's the journey been like, man?
So it's funny because I think you fall into things, right? And so I graduated right here in the West Valley at Trevor Brown High School. You know where that's at, 75th Avenue in Thomas. So I grew up right here. I'm a native to Arizona.
So you're one of the few natives, dude.
Yeah, I'm Native American, but native to Phoenix, Arizona. But I grew up right here on the West Side and went to Trevor Brown High School. Tougher school, right? And so, the goal was to get me out of that neighborhood and get me, to a different area. So finishing up high school there, ended up going up to NAU, which is in Flagstaff, just to kind of get away, get out of the heat too. But went up to school there, went to business and finance, and ultimately, wasn't the best student, didn't have the patience for going to class every day and doing that deal. But ended up finding my way into the car business my last year of college. Met my wife, moved in together, started getting serious, and figured, man, I gotta now go to work, right? Plug in. And so
did you finish college?
I finished college, went to the last year there. Actually, I didn't graduate. I have I finished the hours, but never finished totally walking and doing all that deal, because I really got into the sales and doing well and earning. So ultimately, I selling cars up in Flagstaff the last year of school, finished the last year, finished those hours, and I did really well. My first year in in selling cars, I think Flagstaff population like 56,000 people back then, and I think I made like $64,000 my first year, right? 21 years old or what have you. And so I said, man, I got to get back to Phoenix, where bigger city, bigger population, more units, and ended up, leaving right then and there after that first year, coming down to Phoenix, bringing Renee, my now wife, with me. And I went to a dealership right on 12th Street in Camelback, Showcase Honda, and literally spent 12 years of my life there, starting from sales and kind of just evolving in that process and, kicking butt, doing really well at a young age, making a lot of income, and it was awesome. So that kind of started my sales, background in my life in sales, and I think that was very fortunate. Some of us have some good mentors growing up throughout their years, and I had a very good mentor, and our general manager. He'd been there for 30 years. He was there total 30 years as a general manager, and total grinder, man. Like if you ever worked in the car business, gives you some tough skin. You work a lot of hours. It's pure retail, and so ultimately you're in the grind, the middle of the grind, and that guy was the best at getting people and excelling them to the next level. And so I worked there 12 years, and it was phenomenal. Made great income, made great friends, great mentors, and like I said, working for that guy taught me a lot in overall business and the aspect of business and in selling. But that was 12 years of my life right there on Camelback Road, and so it was pretty stable. It was a great time and did well for myself and my family. But then I think when you start having kids and you're working 14-hour days, working every weekend, working holidays, you look at that and go, hey, man, you know, what did it? I had my daughter, was my last child when she was born. I said, man, it's time for a change. And so went ahead and went a different direction, went into the mortgage business, which was great. It was life-changing. It made me realize, you know, what other opportunities are out there when you're not working and engaged in something 16 hours a day, what the world really has out there to offer you. And
what made you decide mortgage, though, dude? Because at that point, you probably could have went a lot of different routes. Like, what made you decide, okay, let me get into the mortgage business?
Yeah, back then, I think you probably remember, I left in 2006. And so I went into the mortgage business in 2006, and you know, back then there were a lot of guys that would leave the car business and go into the mortgage. Mm-hmm. And so of course I had my buddy Mike Heiler back then. He was a finance manager at the same dealership I was at, and he left and went into mortgages. He happened to be my neighbor, lived 3 doors down. So every weekend I'm working, he's over here doing something fun. You know, he's home by 5, 6 p.m. I'm here, you know, showing up at midnight, 1 a.m. in the morning. And so he just kept on. He just kept on me, you know. Every day I'd come home, every weekend that I'm working, he'd be texting me, calling me, and say, "Man, what are you doing? You're killing yourself." And I knew him, and I knew his work ethic, and I knew, you know, what he was capable of. But obviously, I knew what I was capable of, knowing his work ethic. So, you know, after months and months of him approaching me, saying, "Hey, you got to do this, you got to do this," you know, I finally said, "Hey, show me your year to date, and if your year to date's higher than mine, I'm coming." And I think I was just tired at that point. You know, there was 12 years of doing the same deal, and I did move, you know, from a salesman to a manager to you know, running the dealership and whatnot.
What kind of loot are you making at that point in the car biz?
It's funny because my last month in the car business, when I left, and I never forget this. You're open on this here, but you know, my general manager, you know, the last month I put my notice and I said I'm leaving. I had made $18,000 that month. And you know, 2006, I made $18,000, and you know, I told him, hey, it's about time and money, right? So anyone can make $18,000 a month if you're killing yourself, you're working every single day, and you have no days off. I mean, at that point in time, I think I had like 4 days off a month, and it was just pure grind, and which is great, you know, from a certain point to a certain point, you know, you start having kids, and you don't have any life with them kids. And so that was the last month, and I said, "Hey, it's about time and money." He looked at me and said, "Man, you sound like a freaking hooker. You're talking about time and money to me. Like this is a career." And I said, "Hey, you know, I'm very appreciative, and you've taught me a whole lot. It's time to move on." So the last month I was there, I made $18,000, and I was doing pretty well. You know, $15,000-$20,000 a month on average at the very end there, and ended up just making that move. And it was a tough move to make, you know, but I think that's what drives me a lot, and I tell this to people all the time, is that it's kind of like that fear, right? You wake up every day because you want to continue the path. You don't want to go backwards. I mean, that was one of his favorite sayings. If you're not going forward, you're going backwards. And so taught me a lot, and taught me a lot about, you know, like I said, the work ethic. And so I think I was set up to succeed based on that background and just working like crazy and going into anything. I think I've been successful because of the fact that that was just the work ethic I had. You know?
Once you've got the grind down, right?
Grind's everything, yeah.
Yeah, for an entrepreneurship, and this morning we just created another level up round, and it was actually about the grind, about the hustle. And it's like, dude, if you don't have the hustle, that's the ante to be in the game.
100%.
It's like, dude, just don't get in the game, right? So you got the hustle, but then the other element that you need to it is you've got to be brilliant at sales. Sure. No matter what you get into, like, people don't get that. Like, you are a freaking salesman.
Everything's a sale. Everything's a sale.
Yeah, and not just in business. One of a book that I read, Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. He opens up with this line in there, and it's like, dude, if you want to go home at night and have sex with your wife, you got to sell her on why that's a good idea.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So everything in life is about sales, right? So yeah, you had those two elements, which were huge. So okay, dude. So you get in the mortgage business.
And Grant Cardone was a huge inspiration. He used to come to our dealership like once a month back then. So it was awesome seeing Grant Cardone. Yeah, he was at the time the number one auto salesperson in the country at that time. So he was traveling and doing. Obviously, he's done very well for himself being in sales, right? He's
a badass. I keep trying to get him on the show. He keeps turning me down. I'm gonna get you on the show one of these days, homie. Okay, so dude, you get in the mortgage business, right? What was that transition like? Was it harder than you thought? Because I mean, now you've got this. You know, you're a branch manager, you've got this massive team. Sure. Let's kind of talk about that journey. What was that like? How long did it take you into that? What were some of the successes, ahas? What were some of the failures?
Yeah, so I left the car business 2006, and it's crazy that you know, at that time, I think there were a lot of, you know, 6 months into it, 12 months into it, a lot of people were exiting the business because that's when, you know, things started to go south.
Shit.
But when you don't know any different, right, and all you know is grind, and all you know is hustle, and all you know is how to go to work every day, you don't hear the excuses, you don't listen to them, you don't know them, none of that stuff affects you, right? So going into that, it was just pure grind. I'm used to, calling 200 people a day. I'm used to working long, hard hours. I'm used to working weekends. So I told myself at that time, in 2006, I think I had like 20 grand in the bank. And I said, hey, I don't want to touch any of that. This is my family. This is my money. And, I've been thankful and blessed to have my wife, been home with the kids ever since I met her. So, we've been fortunate enough for her to stay home with the kids, be a homemaker, and see them off to school every day, which has been great. But none of that changed when I left the car business, going into the mortgage business. I didn't expect her to go out and get a job. I didn't expect her to downsize her living or anything else. So it was true, pure grind. I knew I had to make it happen. So going into it, with that work ethic, I don't think you're going to fail at anything that you put your mind to if you're going in with that work ethic, because, I've always been taught it's a numbers game, right? You work hard enough, you get lucky. And so, that's exactly what it was. Going into that first month, I remember, I made my first deal, and it was within the first 2 weeks, closed my first deal, and they had me calling a bunch of, $2 leads at that time. These guys are the brokers buying, these leads,
so
internet
like
leads.
refi business at that time?
Yeah, there's internet leads, mostly refis. You did have some purchase, but, they had boxes and boxes and boxes of old leads sitting in this back closet, and I just said, hey, bring them in. Let's just go to work and let's start hammering them. And, of course, it worked, right? You make enough phone calls, you get, like I said, it's a numbers game. So I was very fortunate to move the mark very quickly, and became.
You weren't fortunate, dude. You put in the hustle. You made it happen, dude.
Right. But that mindset's everything, right? So not getting. I mean, sure. Just like we said, your failures sometimes are your biggest success because you learn from them and you get better at them. And having the right mindset, having the right backing with the family, the wife, the right team, the right motivation. My old general manager used to say too all the time, like, hey, if you're waiting for someone to motivate you, what if they don't show up, right?
Yeah.
So you got to wake up every day in the right mindset, knowing that and to me it was, like I said, a lot of it was fear. I didn't want to touch that 20 grand at the end of the bank at the time. I didn't want to have to go back to the car business, so I was working out of fear. And, fast forward a little bit, at the time I was doing really, really well. I ended up becoming like the number one originator in that office pretty quickly, and then maintained that for quite a few years in that broker shop. And
what kind of time frame does that look like?
I think, the first month I did a loan, and the next month it was like 5 or 6, and then I ended up getting to the double digits very quickly. And so within 6 months, I think I was the top guy there, volume-wise, and doing the amount of loans. And then, they always had the plaques on the walls, and you walk in the office, you're like, man, Ricky Miles, every month for like a year, 2 years, 3 years in a row. It was awesome, right? And so, and once again, it was just that hustle, right? And so you fast forward a little bit, and then I started having all these guys call me, I'd swing by, I'd get a lot of business from the car guys, right? And pull up to the lot, and, back then you were wearing flip-flops and shorts, and because you're in an office call environment, right? Just pulling triggers on the phone all day long. And I'd pull up there, and these guys started going, man, you're killing it, you're doing awesome, what are you doing? And so, you start taking some people under your wing, and you start showing them the ropes. And I remember at one point in time, I had 5 or 6 or 7 guys that all joined from the car business. They're like, show me what you're doing.
Like join your team? Is that
yeah,
what
yeah. Well, join the company. I didn't put them under my team at that point in time, I wasn't doing any of that. But I just kind of brought them in, showed them the ropes, and it was very interesting to see, what people are made of. Essentially, there are a huge percentage, as of people out there that they need the whip, they need the constant grind by someone to make them engage. And so it was very cool to see, like, out of 7 guys, I think at the end of 3 months, 1 was left because they started showing up late, they started leaving early, they start kicking their feet up, they start doing the wrong things. And of course, in this business, you have to be self-motivated, right? And so those guys all started falling out, and it was very interesting to see. And then that's the number. 90% of all people, they need that. They went back to the car business because they needed somebody to say, you need to be here at 8 a.m., and you work until this time, you run these kind of numbers, and you sell this many cars, and if you can't, you don't have a job. They need somebody giving them that kind of heat to make them perform. And so, I had one of my buddies in there, Don Lena, and he says, man, the thing I love about you is I know that you don't have to, but you work like as if you're broke, like if you're, and I think that's just the mindset. Like, I want to maintain, I have goals, I want to retire one day, right? But even when you're retired, I want to work because I want to, not because I have to, right? And so I know what that looks like. I know where I want to be, when I want to be there, and a lot of that motivates me every day just to get up and go. But I think part of it is, you were saying, it's not, you're not born with it, you kind of learn it. But I think, I look at a long list of people before me, like my mom, my aunts, my family. They're all grinders. They're all what does my wife say? Like workaholics, right? But we love to work, man. We love to grind, and we love to go after it and achieve something big. So it's been phenomenal based on that fact,
Yeah, dude. So, yeah, no, for sure. And the environments that we grow into are so important. Like, a lot of people are like, dude, you work a lot, and your kids are watching you work a lot. I'm like, yeah, you fucking damn right.
Yeah, right.
I want them to watch me grind.
100%.
And so then they're like, oh, dude, we watched our dad grind. Our dad went through this. This is what we have to do. I'm here to set that expectation. You got to lead by example, right?
100%.
And you are, I don't want to say you're the way you are because of that environment, but it probably had a lot to do with it. It was like, you didn't know any different. Dude, my parents worked the freaking ass off to provide opportunities for me and my family. I'm going to do the same, right? It was instilled within you. So, okay, so you're doing double digits within 6 months, slaying it. At what point did the Ricky Miles team start? Because you get to a point where you're like, okay, shit, I can't do anymore. Now I need to start adding teammates and getting some help. So at what point did that start for you?
Sure. I think, it started from me. I was at the same brokerage for 4 years, and then, the environment changed, right? So we started having some Dodd-Frank. You started having HVCC appraisal and this, that, and the other come about, and that's like 2009. And so I approached the company I was with, and they actually approached me. They said, hey, we're merging with another company, which is a mortgage banker, and at the time they were a broker. And I said, well, I like having the ability to do different things, go different places, and I like the broker feel at that time. And so I parted ways, and they went a different direction. I went to another broker shop up in North Scottsdale. At the time it was called Core Mortgage. And once again, I was doing what I was doing. I was doing really well at it. I was pumped up. I was fired up. I was loving what I was doing, and people could see that. So, of course, once again, all these guys started approaching me from the car business, and I thought to myself, man, these guys are awesome. They grew up the same way I did, and they have the same potential. So I should go ahead and focus on that. So I ended up building out a team there of about 20 guys and gals, and we were killing it. And that refi, the timeline when the rates were so phenomenal, we were doing a ton of refis. Everyone was doing really well, and so I kind of built out a large team there. And what had happened was then licensing came, right? Licensing came, the market had taken a turn, so people weren't doing as well as they wanted. Licensing came about, so people had to get licensed, spend the money, go through the process. Some people couldn't pass, some people didn't care for it, some people weren't.
Cleansing, baby.
It was cleansing, right?
The shit.
I think at the time it was like 27,000 loan officers in Phoenix, went down to like 6,600, at that time, and it was back in 2010 when it required the licensing. So that huge group kind of fell out. And when it fell out, a lot of those guys went back to car business. Once again, like I said, a lot of these people needed to do that anyhow. They needed somebody to tell them to show up to work and what to do and how to do it. And I kind of got away from the car business because I said, I don't want to babysit anymore. It's so funny how the entrepreneurial spirit, right? You want to get away from it, but you can't help it. That's kind of inbred in you too, like to help and show and teach people to do what they do. That's why, you have such a huge following, because people want to see and understand, how you got there. And so that team fell apart, licensing 2010. And so at the time I was working for that big broker. That broker then approached me after, 2 years there of doing really, really well, kicking ass in that team, and providing a lot of volume for that place. I think it was a perfect opportunity for him to sell. So he got approached by another larger bank, and he ended up, merging and selling. And so at that time frame, I saw, hey, a mortgage banker came in and bought him. And so I stayed there for a while, and I saw the difference between brokering and banking, there's some appeal there. And at the time, I was brokering probably about 90% of my business through Stearns Lending anyways. And so, got approached by them to, start a retail branch here in the Valley. And so, 5 years ago, it ended up starting this branch, and it was just me and my processor. One other person came, and we put that together. And then over the years, of course, we've built out and we've established a pretty good presence, and we're rocking and rolling. And it's me and my girl Jen Hansen. We're just in there crushing it daily, and we've built out a great team because of the fact that we're doing it every day, right? I'm in the grind. I'm sitting here working. I'm showing up. I'm working the hours. I'm putting in the loans. I'm doing the same thing they're doing, and because of that, speed of the boss, speed of the troops, right? I practice what I preach. I do exactly what I tell them to do, and it works. And I'm there for them. And Jennifer Hansen, her being my right hand, she's amazing at what she does. So we've got a great team of great support where allows us to do that kind of volume.
What does the team look like today? So when you talk about, okay, you got a team, you got this branch. I mean, you know, from when you started, I mean, what have you, from when you took it on when it was just the two of you,
Sure.
what have you built? I mean, we kind of talked about some units that you've done, which is a tremendous amount of units, but what does that look like as far as like body count?
So right now, you know, we have myself, I'm producing branch manager. Jen Hansen, she is the production manager, kind of oversees the production of the total branch, hops in and helps out on transactions. But then she also assists me on my own personal production. So right now, you know, last month we did 65 units in May, and that was me producing. And then we have roughly 12 loan originators who are producing. So I think it's about an average of like 4 or 5 units a month per person, which is decent. You know, we want to move that mark and focus on really helping them build out to get the volume that they want and need. And then we have 3 processors, and of course we have our operations center here locally where we have our underwriters and, you know, dock drawers and funders. So right now, based on our branch, you know, it's 12, 13, including me, originators. 3 processors and Jen Hansen, and so we just kick ass, man, with that philosophy of getting in there. You know, we're not trying to go nuts and have 100 producers. I think I'd rather have 10 doing 10 and do 100 loans a month than I would have 100 doing 1. Right? It's easier to manage, easier to develop, and then once again, you kind of know the top 10% who they are and what they look like and how to get them there. So I want to spend a lot of time with those people and help them get to the units I know they're capable of.
Yeah, for sure. And for the listeners out there, people either watching or listening to this, you know, you made a comment of my neighbor that was in the mortgage business, you know, he wasn't working weekends doing all of this. I don't want the listeners to get the wrong impression, dude.
Sure.
And I can say this because we work together. You're my preferred lender. We use you. That's how our relationship began. Right. You guys do a phenomenal job. You grind on the weekends. You grind on the evenings. Right. You might be doing it from your cabin up north or from your freaking boat.
right.
But you're answering your phone. You're grinding. You might still have to be a family, but it's not like, okay, I'm 9 to 5, peace out. I mean, it's literally from when your eyes open to when they close, you're grinding. It's just really allowed more of a kind of a freedom of location for you.
Right. And so the best thing about it, and I will go back to back in the day when leaving the car business, going into the mortgage, of course, it was all day, all night, every day. I remember sitting there taking leads, sitting on my front patio, watching my kids ride their bikes, right, and still grinding it out, making calls, trying to bring new business. I think now more so it's about working smarter, not harder, right? I still grind, still wake up. I'm like you, I got the schedule, right? I try to put people on a schedule for success. So I wake up at the same time every day. I work out every morning. I get to office by a certain time, and I don't leave until a certain time, and I try to achieve everything on my list daily to make sure that before I'm pulling in the front door, I've done everything I can do to have a successful day. But now more so than ever, you know, when I look at my personal production and how I've established that, you know, one person can only do so much in a day. So once again, it comes to working smarter. I know where my talents lie and where they don't lie, right? I'm not the most detailed person. I'm not a processor by any means or an underwriter. And so I know my ability is to work with agents, borrowers, you know, have the right mindset and attitude of getting shit done, right? And moving things forward. So my ability to be that guy that brings that volume, brings the deals, brings the agents, brings the borrowers together is what I really focus on. And so I'm big on time blocking. I'm big on prospecting. I'm big on being on the phone or face to face all day, every day. And then I have, you know, like Jen, my girl Jen. You know, my intent is to take applications, send them off to her, and her see it through based on her ability to be the processor. She was a processor for 15 years. Now she's licensed and she's, you know, helping me on my production. But literally, I can take that app, hand it off to her, and she knows how to best calculate income and, you know, run the findings and do all the right things to. It's kind of assembly line of production and then get it the right, you know, get that volume up. And so if I'm focused on what I'm best at and she's focused on what she's best at, then ultimately, man, we make a great team. So there's times when we'll trade off, right? So because she is licensed now, I say, hey, this is your weekend, this is my weekend, this is your weekend, my weekend. So, you know, my phone's forwarded. As a matter of fact, when my phone rings, it rings to her as well. So that way, you know, if I'm on the phone, I'm not missing an opportunity. So we're both constantly taking phone calls, you know, turning applications and converting, but there are times when we'll, you know, you want to, like I said, you want to be with your family, you want to do certain things because we're a team and we've got it dialed in the right way. we can do that together and still have a life, right? And still accomplish great things, volume-wise, income-wise. But the ability to share in that responsibility and say, hey, your weekend, you take the apps, phone's forward to you. I'm going to go rock and roll up north or what have you, is great. And I think that everyone needs that, because at the end of the day, you know, one person can only do so much, and you will have a tendency to burn yourself out or run your marriage or your family life into the ground too, you know?
But it took you years to build it up to do that.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's something that's fairly new. I mean, you know, I realized when I got to 16 loans a month, you know, personal production, I said, I can't do anymore. One person can only do so much. And just like you, when you're in the office 12, 13 hours a day, you know, my wife would still tell me like, hey, it's time to come home now. I'm like, don't forget the car business. Like, at least I have the choice to leave, right? I can leave when I want to leave now, but I like being there and I like producing and I like doing what I'm doing. So me putting the hours because I want to, not because I'm doing it for somebody else or have to. It's because I'm enjoying what I'm doing. But yeah, you know, I got to 14, 15, 16 units a month, and I was stuck there, and I was stuck there, and I was stuck. So I couldn't move past that, knowing that, you know, man, I can only do so much. So, you know, started looking into core, you know, some of the training that they do. I love you know, Rick Rubin, his approach. And I've always thought the same thing, but, you know, to give up that responsibility and give up, you know, you doing it yourself and putting faith in other people's hands, it was tough. But man, it's definitely amazing, the ability to work as a team to do more. You know, I always looked at it like, hey, if I can duplicate myself, I can double that production. And now I'm getting very close to being able to do that, you know. So I think last month did like 22 units in May. And so going to, you know, from 15 to 16 to 20 to 22, next will be 25 and to 30. Then maybe it'll be time to expand that, because right now it's her and I. And then I have, you know, my loan coordinator, Miriam, who's also amazing. But between the three of us, you know, getting to 20, 25 units is there. I mean, it's right around the corner on a monthly basis, and then getting to the next level and figuring out what that looks like and how to expand that, right? And of course, it's always a moving target, right? You know, it's coaching them up, motivating, doing the right things, putting the system in place, make sure that you're missing opportunities. That's the part I love. The part of the business I love is going, man, you know, where am I missing? Where am I missing opportunities? Where are these falling through the cracks, and how can I generate and close more? And so it's huge. And I still look at it as a numbers game. My job is to get, you know, 3 apps a day. You know, we call it 90 a month at 30% closing, and there's my deal. And then I'm getting to 25, 30 units a month. And so that's my job. And I love the fact that I can focus on that now and not try to do everything, but focus on that, bring the business, and then have, you know, and have my team here to help support me and close them, which is huge.
What do you feel? I mean, we've got, you know, quite a few lenders that listen to the program, right? We've got a lot of real estate agents, a lot of lenders, a lot of just regular entrepreneurs as well, and other aspects. But for those that are lenders and other entrepreneurs that are out there, I think it's critical to identify, okay, what are my, you know, top 2 or 3 most important things? Success isn't doing 1,000 things; it's doing 3 things brilliantly thousands of times, right? Like, what do you feel for a lender, just speaking just directly to a loan officer right now? Like, what are the 3 most critical things they should be focusing on every single day to go out there and grow an epic business? Like, what are like the 3, like I call them 3 vital signs of real estate, right? Like, what are your 3 vital signs in your business that a lender should have? Sure.
I think number 1 is I'm big on the schedule, man. I'm big on doing things the same way every single day, waking up, working out. I'm big right now on time blocking, so I'd say time management is huge. I know too many people that come into an office and spend 10, 12 hours a day and then go, man, what did I really accomplish? And they don't have it dialed in. You know, every Monday I do this for 3 hours, every Tuesday I do this, every Wednesday I do this. I think that people come to the office, they spend all day long, feel busy, and then at the end of the day don't get the results that they want. And I think it's, to me, time blocking and time management is huge. So, you know, being able to show up and spend 80% of your time prospecting is so time management 1. I would say prospecting 2. I think that a lot of lenders come in and they're, you know, and agents, hey, where's my next deal coming from? But they're not engaged 80% of their time on prospecting, pure prospecting, whether it be face to face, on the phone, or what have you. So time management, prospecting, and then I think that ultimately, you know, I want to say grind. I mean, the persistence in I always say persistence wears down resistance. You don't get a yes until you typically get 10 no's and you get a yes, right? So, showing up, going to work, blocking to bring the business. 2, you know, prospecting all the time, and then 3, seeing it through. You know, that persistence, the ability, and you said it earlier too. Everything's a sale. I see way too many people take the wrong approach to try and get things done. At the end of the day, whether I'm selling an underwriter or a process or whoever it may be on helping me, they had to want to help me. And I see too many people do it the wrong way, where they're frustrating and piss people off, and they're just trying to ram things down people's throat, and it's not the right approach. The sales, everything, the technique is everything, and having people want to help you and be successful is huge part of that. So back to the time blocking and the time management, prospecting, and then persistence, man. I don't think there's anything that can take over the persistence. If you're not willing to sink your teeth in and see it all the way through, man, you're gonna have huge fallout anyhow. Yeah,
I mean the grind. It's pretty simplistic, right? It's simple mathematics, dude. If you work 40 hours a week and I work 100, even if I'm less talented and shittier than you, I'm eventually gonna freaking catch you.
Yep.
And if I keep it up, I'll eventually beat you.
Yep.
Yeah, right. So I couldn't agree more with that, bro. So all right, dude. So you were uber successful in the car business. Climbed up the ranks. Then obviously you went pretty in depth with your mortgage business. You built this badass epic business, and I mean $65 million in production year to date by end of May is pretty dope, dude. So you're gonna far exceed $100 million in production, which is nuts. But you've also owned, whether it's buying or built other companies, that you've flipped them, you've sold them. So you've taken that success, whatever you've learned with success, that model, translated into other industries that have nothing to do with.
Sure.
Everything has to do with sales, I guess, but I think one of them was a transportation company, an accounting firm. Let's kind of talk about, number one, how did you get involved with this other shit, and then what was that process like, dude?
Yeah. So going back to what you're saying, I always have these isms, Tom Bias isms. I was my old general manager, 12 years, right? He's a grinder, but one of the things his favorite saying was, "Hey, what you lack in knowledge, you make up for in effort." So you got the effort, you're going to be successful. But yeah, so. I look at it like, man, opportunity everywhere, right? When you're a grinder, when all you know is how to strive to make something successful, you see it in everything. So no matter what, opportunities are out there, and they're typically right in front of your face. You just, if you're not aware of them, you're not looking for them, you're not seeing them. I'm that guy that likes to spend nights, looking at Craigslist. Hey, you see failing businesses all over the place, and it's not because people are bad people. It's just because maybe they don't have what it takes, that desire, that work ethic, to make it successful. So cool thing about it is, when that's out there, you have the ability to help people, just like you're doing daily with these, podcasts and talking to people, getting people motivated, or talking to business owners or what have you, the best of the best in the industry. People can hear that, see that, and hopefully get some inspiration from it and some ideas on how to really go crush it. But, to me, I see it everywhere. So in the past, I would say that when I was in the car business, one thing that being in the mortgage industry, allowed me is to, one, have a life, two, see other opportunities and have the time to actually go after them. I look at the mortgage industry, and that's my passion. So I want to be 100% of that. But once again, there's things out there that, with a little bit of a tweak or a little help or whatnot, things, people could make their business successful. So, so having the time, having the ability to do that, I love looking for that type of opportunity. So, one of the businesses I found, it was maybe 2 years ago. When I found it, it was like 4 or 5 years ago. But I was in the mortgage industry working, came across a borrower who had recently inherited a business, right, and his mother passed away, inherited the business, and it was a transportation company. And, he came to me because he wanted to refinance the house. He was left the house and the business. Wanted to refinance the house into his name, pull some cash out, put it back in the company, which he did. And then, we started talking. A month later, he wasn't doing too well with that company. And it was crazy. Like, things happen for a reason. It was crazy, the fact that it was a transportation company that moved cars for car dealerships, right? And my background was in the car business, 12 years right here in the Valley. So knew a lot of people, a lot of managers, general managers, the right contacts. And so I ended up reaching out to him, and had a discussion. He wasn't, running it the right way. It was he was running into the ground, essentially. So I ended up buying that business from him for a very low price. I mean, it was phenomenal. But at the time, it was a company that, had like one van, four employees, and, had some decent accounts. But over time, we took that and we managed it up, and over 3 years built it out to where, when I sold that company, I had 55 employees, 4 big, large 15-passenger vans, 55 drivers, picked up some very large accounts like Enterprise Rent-A-Car. We were doing 3,000 cars a month all over the Valley, and ultimately, it was phenomenal. Made a lot of good income, helped a lot of people, but took a very small business that was just needing help and built it out, and then ended up selling it 3.5 years later with 55 employees. So it was great. It was a great investment. It was a great opportunity, and having the time and the ability to see that type of stuff is huge. I mean, you run into it on a daily basis. It's out there.
Yep, absolutely, bro. So why sell it? Was it just with combination of timing, everything right, or what was it exceeding too much to?
For one, it was just a great opportunity. When we had picked up that last account, the company was doing really well, and I think at the time, making a lot of income at that time. When we were going through like a mini depression here, right? The market was shit. That company's doing very well, and so it was making a lot of good. I think the timing was, and my plan wasn't to keep that thing forever. My plan was to do exactly that. Hey, build it out and sell it. It kind of fell in my lap, so I said, hey, this is not. I'm a mortgage guy. I love the mortgage business. This was not something I saw myself doing forever. But at the same point, the opportunity was there, the money was there, and to sell it was a really huge profit. So it made sense. But ultimately, when you get to 55 drivers out there driving other people's cars, that liability starts to get crazy too. So I really didn't want to have that liability. I didn't want to, especially the fact that I wasn't engaged every single day running that. I ended up actually hiring the guy that sold it to me back to manage it and run it. With my help. It was able to be very successful. He just couldn't do it himself, but we did it together. And so, we built it out and then ended up selling it because the liability got to be huge, and I didn't want that brain damage of having all that liability. And it was just great opportunity and good timing to go ahead and sell it. Found the right buyer, the right price, and it just made sense, which ultimately puts some revenue in your pocket. Then you go, hey, now let me look for other opportunities, right? And so my goal is I don't want to own 100 companies because, I want to help and establish companies, build them out, and then let them, either sell it back to that person or sell it where someone else could step in and run it and maintain it. I think that's what I like, and that's what I'm good at, because just small tweaks, man. You know how that goes, right? It's just small tweaks make all the difference in the world, and some people just don't have the right mindset, right? And so there's opportunities out there everywhere, man. Startups or just companies that are established that need help. And I think that's what a lot of really good coaches do, right? Coaches go into these companies and help them achieve new things. Grant Cardone used to come to the car business to help us move the market and our volume, get us all pumped up and inspired on how to do so, right? Yeah. It's good stuff.
Now, when you're doing that, dude, are you looking for specific companies, or does your system really fall into any single organization that's in this kind of here's kind of, I don't want to say not the red flags, but here's the things that I'm looking for to know that, okay, that's at the point I want to pick it up and buy it. Could it be translated to any single organization, like things that you're buying? Like what are some other samples of just a couple of the business? I know you bought a lot, so you can't name them all, but
yeah, looks like right now it kind of just falls into if you're out there, when you're talking to as many people as I talk to, or you're networking, or you're just out there working, man, you're hustling, you're face to face with a lot of people, you run into a lot of opportunities. I talked to my accountant last week, and right now, I love the opportunity to go in with her and partner with her in her business, because she's at the age where she's been running this thing for 30-something years. She's at the retirement age. Her business has a lot going on. It's thriving, but maybe it's not being ran the right way because she's tired, she's burnt, she's ready to move on. And so right now I'm looking at, going into that with her, and I'm bringing in another gentleman that I met through, doing loans and acquaintance through networking, through business. He's a CPA. He just started his own. I'm going to marry them to bring them together and be partners, and then we'll crush it, right? So a lot of them just fall into my lap. Even from the simplest things, man. I just went down to Rocky Point, right? So we have a place in Rocky Point. I go down there all the time on the weekends, and I do have Wi-Fi and I do have my phone, so I can still plug in down there on my patio and do work. But the funniest thing is I bought my son and I some paddle boards, right? My 15-year-old, I bought us some stand-up paddle boards. I take them down there, and we're just cruising, man. We're out there all the time on the ocean, and we're cruising. We go 15, 20-mile rides. It's awesome. But got to be a pain in the ass, man. I'm taking these things back and forth, and I'm loading them, and they're heavy, they're big, and they're just. I mean, these things are 11 feet long, right? And you're putting them on top of your car. It's a pain in the ass. So there's a guy down there. He's always renting the banana boats. And I said, hey, bro, what would it look like if I just leave these here with you on the beach, and while I'm not here using them, you just rent them out? You know what I mean? You just run them out, and then, we'll go 50-50. He's like, bro, if you do that for me, I'll go 75-25. 75 to you, 25. You'd be helping me out tremendously. So I leave him down there, and the guy's got these things. I came down there last weekend, man. This guy's got business cards with the paddle boards and him on them. You know what I mean? He's got his phone number on there. He's just handing them out all over the beach, man. He's just going nuts, renting these things out, $20 an hour. So last time I come in, he's like, here's a stack of cash. And I'm like, that's a beautiful thing, right? So I'm like, we probably need to get like 6-7 more of these things, man. Some kayaks and some all kinds of shit to put on this beach. But the guys, it's helping the guy out. He's loving it, man. He's like, you don't even understand what you're doing here for me. And it's helped me out, man. It's just a perfect opportunity. You can marry things together just like that and make it easy. And it's a win-win for both. And that's typically, kind of stuff you fall into if you're looking at it the right way. I mean, you can always be better, you can always do better, and you can always be more profitable. And a lot of times it just takes people like us with the right energy, the right mindset, and the right work ethic. Like I said, one of Tom Byers' favorite isms, man, you work hard, you get lucky. And so I just think that, people have a tendency to look at things differently. They point blame. It's everything else. It's everyone else's fault. It's the market. It's what have you. But man, some of the biggest and best businesses were built during the time when things were down, right? Most opportunities are that way. When things are down, someone saw opportunity, they went in and they crushed it. And it's just getting shit done. The ability to get up and go after it. And so a lot of that stuff just falls right into your lap, where it's just right in front of your face and you're not even looking for it. I just look for it, man. I see opportunity in everything. And, I've been blessed. Well, like you said, I have never failed on any of the businesses that I've ever done, but I think it's because I don't allow myself to do so, right? It's gonna work. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna make it happen. To what extent, who knows? But I'm gonna go after it regardless until it is, and then move forward with that. But no, it's been great.
And when you say, okay, I've never failed at any business I've ever done, most people look at failure the wrong way, right? Sure. It's you and I look at failures is, okay, maybe it was a mistake, but that's our learning experiences. That's how we learn, right? So most people will fail and then they quit. Like, you don't fail until you quit. Yeah. And if you're a quitter, quitters lose and losers are losers. Lose become a loser. So you failed at the organizations. Mm-hmm. The company didn't fail. You made mistakes, it failed, you chalked up as a learning experience, and then it helped you tweak that company to become a great company.
100%.
You just didn't quit, right?
I'm not going to say I never lost money or had tough times. At the end of the day, it's exactly right. Your ability to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and just keep going is what makes you successful. You keep at it. There's no way you're not going to be successful if you just keep going. And that's the biggest thing. So you're 100% right with that.
Let's go through that, man. What are a couple of kind of the biggest, I don't want to call them failures, learning experiences, right? Mm-hmm. That's what really defines us and helps us become the successful entrepreneurs that we are, is going through that pain. Sure. What were a couple of those, and how'd you grow from it?
I think that most of my failures when it comes to business, and it's tough to say, man, but it came with maybe having the wrong people, or having the wrong people in certain places or certain positions, or I put more faith in most people than they put in themselves. That's I don't want to call it downfall. I just believe in people. I believe that, hey, if you can do it, if I can do it, anyone can do it, right? If you do the right things and you follow the right system, it's kind of a no-brainer. But I've struggled in certain businesses with certain people where, like you said, it holds you back, or I always go back to my old general manager. I learned so much from this guy, but it's one of his favorite sayings again, man. It was hire slow, fire fast, right? Yeah. And so it's been very difficult for me to have that mindset to just launch people or whatnot when they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. But at the end of the day, some of the biggest struggles, some of the things that cost me money, some of the things that took a lot of time from the success was people. People's inability to do what they're supposed to do, or have the same vision, or have the same dreams, which ultimately sometimes drain you, right? You have enough of these people that have salaries, or you're paying, that aren't doing getting the job done. It brings you down, it buries you, it puts you in a hole. And your ability to find good people and the right people is a huge part of your success. And try to motivate people that don't want to be motivated. That'll kill you. I mean, it'll drain you for sure. And I think that in some of these businesses, it was just a learning curve where you had to move on with some folks and start the process and just re-engage, man, and try to keep motivating and getting the right people in the right place until you get to the right success. So examples are more so in the people, and more so in the struggles and the setbacks, I think, than anything, because I don't think there's a time where I totally, gave up or pulled my hair out or fell apart and said, hey, it's not going to work. It was all about, recognizing where the weaknesses were and fixing that and moving them forward.
So one of the things that I've always loved about you, dude, and that I love doing business with you and just kind of talking with you, man, is you're a positive cat.
Sure.
Right? Like every time I talk to you, dude, it's never call you up, hello, what's going on, man? Shit's okay. It's always like, oh yeah, dude, freaking life's awesome. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Well, what people don't realize is when you're a CEO of organizations, right? You deal with the shit all day long.
Sure.
Right? Like it's our job to have the biggest negative problems approached to us every single day, right? They're the problems that nobody else can solve. So all day long as a CEO, we are dealing with the highest level negative bullshit all day long. But that's why we're the CEO of the organization, right? So, and it can be very difficult, right? To stay positive, to stay focused, to stay inspired. What do you do, dude? Like what do you personally do to keep that inspiration alive, to keep pushing, to keep leveling up? I mean, is it through self-development? Is it, how does that look like for you, dude?
I think ultimately it's, I am very, competitive. You know what I mean? I like to compete. I like to win. So at the end of the day, when people approach me with an issue or a problem or something that they can't resolve, I think I take pride in being able to be that go-to person to get the job done, right? So what drives me is that challenge to get it handled, and then two, to show them, how or why or what the right approach was. Like I said earlier, to me, everything's a sale. So if you're selling somebody to help you and achieve something and get something done, you have to have the right approach. And to show people what that looks like, or to help them develop themselves on how to handle things the right way, is the part that I take pride in, because I just think that, like I said, I think anyone can do what we do. It's just not everyone has the right tact or the right approach or the right ability to maintain that positivity or approach it the right way with the people that can help you. And so, I look forward to that, right? I look forward to, I know every day that I come into work, I'm going to have issues, or I'm going to have something fall apart. I'm going to have, and there's times that it's not the funnest, right? When people are relying on you to get their keys or to close on their home, or they've already moved out, they got the truck packed up, right? That's not a good position to be in. But at the end of the day, when you resolve it and you get it fixed and people are happy and they're thankful the fact that you got involved and you made shit happen, I like that part of it. So I think that the challenge drives me. I think that helping people drive me, and I think that the appreciation also drives me. I think that from the loan officer's perspective, when you're able to get something done behind them that they couldn't, they appreciate it. Of course, they earn income, they get their commission. It's helpful to their family, it's helpful to them, but they learn something from it on the approach and how to properly resolve issues. And then three is the borrowers. At the end of the day, they may or may not know how it got done or who helped or who stepped in, but I know they're appreciative of the fact that they're now living in their home and they've got their keys, and so that's a good feeling. You know what I mean? A lot of that is huge for me, and that's why I do it really daily. The income doesn't hurt either. The money's good too, but that's part of the game. Like when I look up and I see brain damage everywhere, I'm like, it's the mortgage business, man. Like, right in this book, I think it said, hey, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it, right? So it's been great. And then when it comes to, hey, entrepreneur or businesses or opportunities, I look at it the same way. Bad things happen to good people, and good. It's a win-win always when you can go in and help somebody and move the mark and make everyone's life better. And I'm not, it doesn't always, it's not something you're looking for. Just like I said, when it falls in your lap, there's a reason for that. I think that certain things happen to certain people, right? It's like karma, right? You do good things happen. And so, and it's a great opportunity to make it a win-win for yourself when you have the ability to do that.
Do you goal set? You a goal setter, dude?
Not to the extent like you are, man. I've seen some of your stuff and I think it's awesome. My goal setting is like visual, man. Like I'll put, like I told you about that 25 mark. That's in front of my face, in front of my partner's face, and I look at that stuff every day. So I look at numbers, I look at projections, I look at where I want to be, and I put it in front of myself and I keep it in front of myself. And I'm pretty basic when it comes to the setting of the goals, because like I said, it's a numbers game to me. So like when I look at 25 units, I look at what is my closing percentage, how many leads do I have to generate to get there, and how much time do I have to spend prospecting to get there, and I hold myself accountable to that, and pisses me off if I don't get there, right? So I'm not uber controlling on myself when it comes to the goal setting, but I'm very competitive by nature, so I know that I know where I want to be, and I know how to get there. I just had to hold myself to that, and it'll happen, right? And a lot of it's, like I said, building out that team. So it's easy to goal set and put things in place, but then there's other factors that relate to that, like, hey, who's my team and who's responsible for what, and dialing that in and having the right approach to really get to where you want to be. So my goals are shared by other people with their goals, and we all have to meet our goals to really have the accomplish the bigger number, right? And so I love that part of it too. I love getting everyone hyped about that.
Yeah, for sure, dude. So I mean, like, what's next for you? Like, what do you see yourself? I mean, you're a young cat, dude.
Sure.
So you talked about retirement. And don't kid your fucking self. You'll never be able to retire, bro. I know you're too old for that.
Yeah. I'll be renting paddleboards on a rugby point. That'll be my deal.
You'll be a retiree with fucking 25 side businesses.
Yeah, exactly right.
All right. So, I mean, what do you, dude? 20 years from, I mean, like, what do you like? What's next? Like, what do you envision your life in that 25 years when other people are thinking of retirement? Like, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to accomplish with all this stuff?
Really. Like I said, I'm not gonna lie. The monetary part of it, in the goal setting, a part of, hey, when I turned 40, I wanted to be. So I'm not that young. When I turned 40, I wanted to be here. Was able to accomplish that. I knew exactly where I wanted to be, what I wanted to have, and to me, it's comforting. It's kind of it's security when you've set yourself up and you worked hard and you put money away where that, hey, I could go do any other business right now and be successful and probably live okay. I love that part of it, but once again, I've always been taught, and it's just ingrained in my head, if you're not going forward, you're going backwards. I got plenty of years left in me, and I know, in 20, 25 years where I'm going to be set up based on everything I've done. But, I don't have that in me, probably like you don't, to sit around and golf all day and just be retired, right? So I'm always in that. I think that's what drives me a lot too. Like I said, you wake up and you're driven by, like, what does my future look like, and like the fear of not being able to accomplish what you want to accomplish, or being where you want to be at a certain age, or you're having your kids not be where they want to be at a certain age. So I always look at that and go, hey, this business or this business or this business, when I see opportunity, I think to myself, like, man, I could start this or grow this out, or this is something that I might be able to retire with, or hand off to my kids, or do certain things like that, with where, to me, that's freedom. To me, the ability to say, hey, man, if I had enough today, I could go start a business or run a business and be successful at it no matter what. That's huge. And I want my kids to be the same way, see the same things, and have the same opportunities. So, I'm always looking. And I know that even when I get to that age, I'll still probably always be looking. I'm not that guy who can sit around and not be doing something, And so it's great, man. I got my kids right now. My daughter, she's 11. Jada, and Ricky, he's 15. So they're on summer break. They just went on summer break, right? Like last week was their first day of summer, and so my 15-year-old was like, "What am I going to do?" I said, "Well, you got to do something, man. You got to let's get going being productive." And so we came up with a nice little business for them, right? So they can work 2 days a week and like make like $800 cash a month, right? And they can split it. And so my 11-year-old, my 15-year-old, so we got them a power washer, right? Went to Walmart, got a little power washer, $150 or whatever, a little wagon. And so Jada's going to go door to door and she's going to sell, and then Ricky's going to do the work, right? But what they're going to do is they're going to power wash every Tuesday, like garbage day, power wash the garbage cans, right? So power wash and clean them so they're not, in the summer they start getting hot, starts getting smelly and whatnot. I noticed that with my own, so I'm like, hey, this could be a good idea for you guys, right? So he's going to go out there and sell, he's going to go out there and clean, and they're going to do, 10, 15 of them a day, and they're going to make like $800,000 a month cash. For a little 11-year-old and a 15-year-old, I think is a beautiful thing, and it's just something right there, right? A little
it's exciting for them, dude. They get that. So $800 cash, so they split $400 each or whatever. It's, dude, well, for a kid that age, that's a shit ton of money.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. And they're like, their mom's like, I don't know if I want Ricky working in the summer because we like to go up north. We like to go down to Rocky Point or whatever. She's like, if he's working, he can't do that stuff. But I said, well, here, this is the way you want to do it. This is the freedom we're talking about, right? They start their own little business. They work Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they do whatever they want for the weekends. And they're learning. They're making money. They're learning what to do with it. And then they still have their weekends so we can do our thing. So best of both worlds, right?
So what, you got a home here in Phoenix, you got a cabin up north in the mountains, and then you got a little beach spot down in Rocky Point, Mexico.
Right, yeah, that's right, exactly.
So then people might be listening to this saying, you lucky son of a bitch, but there's no luck involved, dude.
Yeah.
It's hustle, grind, baby.
100% hustle, man, 100% grind. I'm highly motivated by that stuff.
And none of that shit was given to you. You earned every ounce of that, dude.
Yep.
So you brought me in a book, dude, which I'm still appreciate this. Yep. First off, dude, I really appreciate it. I'm an avid reader. So this is WOD, and you're like, I know you're really into working out and whatever WOD CrossFit workout of the day. But this is WOD motivation word of the day to stay mentally motivated, right? So a lot of cool different stuff in here. Looking forward to diving in with this, dude. And so speaking of that, dude, with reading, self-development, I mean, what does that look like for you? How important is that to you? Is that something that you include in your daily routine?
No, I'm not a big reader, honestly. Like, it's crazy that you think, when you talk about freedom and entrepreneur or being successful in your business and being able to make your own hours. I mean, literally my day is set up to where it's same thing every single day. So I'm on the grind all day long, but I really haven't left myself open with that, a small piece of reading. When I do some reading, I'll get it in like before bed or whatever. And a lot of times it has to do with, motivational stuff. Like, I think my mom just recently bought me a book, and I'm trying to remember the coach's name. But on coaching and self-development, on leading a team or leading yourself, and I'm that guy because I'm like ADD and I'm like a lot of energy. Like I start it and I never really finish books, but I get a lot of good ideas and a lot of good inspiration from them. But man, I think it'd be great because you see other people and where their successes lie and how they got there, or their failures and how to learn from them is huge. But no, I haven't really set myself up with a huge part of my day on reading and self-development that way.
One way to integrate, because I'm kind of the same way like you are right now. I mean, I'm kind of attacking 4 businesses right now. It's 100 plus hours a week, dude. It's like I fit in 2 hours to hang out with my wife and my kids a day. Yep. Outside of that, like even my workouts, like I'd probably haven't been in the gym in 2 weeks. Like still eating clean, sure. but everything else is kind of on pause. So I don't have time to necessarily stuff my face in a book. Right. So then I just integrate. Like, okay, every time I hop in the car, what do I got to do? I mean, there anyway, right? If I'm at the gym, so listening to Jay-Z or Eminem, right? Exactly right? I throw that in. So I'm able to crush a couple books a week, dude. So yeah, integration, because like you said, man, it's impossible for you and I to carve out 3 extra hours a week to put our face in a book.
Right. And I'm the same way as you. Like, hey, podcasts or there's some.
You listen to GSD podcasts.
Yeah. And there's some other ones out there. Like, this is great, but there's and I know that you have other ones too that are more strategic on your approach to, hey, what is it you do? Wake up. How do you go after it? When I talk about 80% prospecting or time blocking, there's great information out there in podcasts or what have you. So if I'm at the gym or you're right, like I'm in the car, I listen to that stuff. I get a lot of really new ideas, and when you get those ideas and your mind starts spinning on how you can play on those ideas, it's huge. So I'm that way too. I'm not a big reader, but I do listen a lot, and I do listen a lot and learn from others. Whether I'm meeting agents or whether I'm meeting anyone that I'm networking with, you listen to what they're doing, how they're successful, and a lot of new ideas derive from that for sure.
All right, dude. So let's say something happens, bro, and you just get wiped out. Like wiped out financially. Your team's gone. You got to move. Maybe you go to Texas. Sure. Right. You got to build this empire all over again. Right. You got really nothing to your name, or maybe a couple $100. Yep. What's the first 1, 2, 3 things that you go out there and do immediately to go out there and become successful?
So when it comes to loans?
Dude, anything. I don't care. If like, dude, you just get wiped out tomorrow, you get $300 left to your name. Where do you start? What do you go out there and do to rebuild what you've built?
Yeah, so if I was going to Texas and I was going to do exactly what I'm doing, I would essentially start with the same approach, man. I'd go in there and I just straight grind. So if it was going to be mortgage, first thing I'd do is go out and rebuild my business partners. I'm a firm believer in the fact that, hey, I don't have to have 100 agents I work with, but I have to have 20 really good ones. Because when you build the relationships, build the partnerships, and you rely on each other to do business on a large scale, that's what it should look like. Everyone that I work with knows how I work. I know how they work, and we're a team. So to me, effectively, to go out and be successful anywhere means to go out and establish myself with great partners and great partnerships in any environment, and see it through. I mean, let people know what it is I do. Ask them to do business with me and what that looks like, and go after it. I just show up to work every day and work hard, man, and good things happen. But when it comes to any other aspect of it, I look around my surroundings, I look at my environment, I see what's out there, right? So when I look at businesses, it used to be I looked at what relates to what I know or what I do. Like when I came across that transportation company, I said, man, this is phenomenal because I know all the car guys. This is an easy no-brainer. I go out there and establish just quickly, and so when I'm in the mortgage business, you come across things that relate to the mortgage business, whether it be lead generation or marketing or what have you, that essentially I look at and I go, hey man, if I just focused on that, you could blow that up, right? Just like what you're doing with your 4 businesses. You're like, man, you start out, you plant your feet, you establish, you grow, and you build out, and next thing you know, that hard work leads you to success. So I look at what surrounds me, what the environment. I went out and opened the garbage can and it stank the other day, and I said, man, this is your business, guys. This is what you're going to do, man. You're going to go out there and make money. You know what I mean?
Connect the dots, man.
Yeah, connect the dots. That's all it really is. And I wrote my favorite quote in here, man, that I like the best, because to me it sums it up. It tells a lot, and it says whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're 100% correct. Yep. And so, I look at everything that way. I like, man, I can achieve it. I can make it happen, as long as you believe that, right? And so whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're 100% correct. And so that's kind of always been bred in my head too.
Love it, dude. Love it. So I've got one kind of last question for you, but before I go into that question, so for our listeners, man, I mean, how can people reach you? So maybe they're a local real estate agent or a homeowner that needs needs a loan, refinance here in Arizona. I think you do loans outside of Arizona too. Sure, yeah. Or maybe it's somebody, dude, that has a business idea they want to throw at you, maybe partner up with, or they're struggling, they're failing. I mean, you're kind of like, what's the homeboy on Marcus, whatever, what's his show? The Prophet, or whatever they call it. Yeah. So maybe somebody's like, hey, dude, I got this epic business idea, but I don't know how to connect the dots, and you're that guy. Or, fuck, dude, I feel like the fly against the window getting out. I've got this awesome business, but I can't get traction. Mm-hmm. Maybe somebody wants to partner with you, in a different venture. How do people reach you, dude? How do they get a hold of you? Yeah,
I think, I've had the same cell number for like 15 years, right? So, and if I'm in the office, my cell's forwarded to the office. I'm out of the office. Of course, my office is forwarded to cell. So you can always get me by phone, but multiple ways. You can call my cell phone and I'll give you that number. You can go to my website, which is just rickymiles.com. That's relating to mortgage, but my number is 602-908-4861. And I love that opportunity. I love the opportunity to be on here, because you're right. There could be somebody out there that says, hey man, I got a great idea, or I have a business and maybe it's not working out. And your ability, and one of the things you mentioned like early on, me being a native to Arizona, right? It's like, I know a lot of people. I grew up here. My business is here. I've done multiple business here. So I know a lot of people in a lot of different industries, which I think is huge. The ability to network and bring things together and bring people together is what really success is all about. The right people and bringing them together. So yeah, man, I'd love the opportunity if people are out there and they're wanting to do something or do something together to collaborate. Man, I'm all about that. Like I said, I'm looking daily. I'm on Craigslist half the time looking to see what's out there, man. Like, and sometimes I just get great ideas from that. I'm like, man, someone just started a business doing this. Phenomenal. Someone just started a business doing this, and the things you think to yourself, you're like, man, that's so easy, right? And so I like watching that Shark Tank too, right? Like people have good ideas, they approach the right people to fund the projects. And once again, man, they get someone like that behind them that knows their shit, knows their business, knows how to make a business thrive. It's kind of a no-brainer, and it's out there, man. We're in an age right now where all the up-and-comers, man, there's plenty to be had out there for sure.
Yep, absolutely, man. So GSD mode, right? Get shit done mode. I mean, it's really, really all about what inspired me to create all of this and everything that we do is just really to inspire people to go out there and create just create an epic life, dude. Sure. 97% of people out there live and die in mediocrity. Mm-hmm. They get to a point, I'm on my deathbed. Oh shit, I just pissed away this one gift called life. God bless me. There's no chance to go back and change it. So the whole point is to give people the information, interview badasses like you to hopefully give them information to inspire them to go out there and create an epic life, which, dude, they deserve. They know they want. They deserve it. Sure, they just got to go out there and do the work, right? So we've got a lot of people that are the entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, whatever it may be. Any last words of advice? Like you're a dude that's self-made. You didn't wake up with the silver spoon in the mouth, right? Like you worked your freaking ass off to create an epic life that really is just beginning. I mean, I can't wait to see where you're at in 20, 30 years, dude. Honored to know you and roll with you. Thanks, what kind of last words of advice do you got for these people to just to inspire them to get out there and not piss away this one gift called life, man?
Yeah, man, I would say just like you said, hey, wake up every day with that in mind, like, and have no fear. Don't have fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of loss. I mean, go out there every day and actually, you probably should. I should rewind that. Have the fear of loss, fear of rejection, fear of the things that you're missing if you're not engaging, if you're not out there, face to face and talking to people and engaging and trying to figure out where you fit in and to make the best out of that situation. That's where you need need to be doing, man. Wake up every day with a purpose and the end in mind to get up to say, hey, what does that look like? Like you had referenced earlier, what does it look like for me in 25 years? Or where do I want to be, or where do I want to go with it? And the thing that drives me is that fear. Like, hey, am I going to be able to, have the kids have the life that they want, or lead them in the direction of success, or, even more so than money sometimes that weighs on my mind. But I know I can control that, right? I can go out and kick ass now and control what it looks like for them in the future by leading them, but hey, passing on a business or helping them achieve what it is they want to achieve. So I just think, man, like, wake up every day, like you said, don't piss it away. Think of what's out there, think of what's available to you and what you really have the ability to do, and get up and do it. But don't have the fear of failure. You learn, you grow, you stand up, dust yourself off, and keep rolling, man. And I think that to me has been the biggest thing. And I think a big part of that too is, hey, surround yourself with people that are doing it. Do it like they do. Ask the questions, figure out what it is that they're doing to be successful, and engage and follow in that, man. I think that's why you've had such a big following, and with your agents and your team and your business, is that people get a lot from you. They've seen you do it, and that's another thing, right? We're doing it. We're not people that are just talking about it. We've done it. We've gone out there and built business, and we're still continuing to do business. And so it's easy to share in that. So I would tell people, attach yourself to people that are doing it, and watch what they do and do like they're doing. No matter what type of business you're in, those work ethics and those details, push those forward and make yourself successful, man, just like them.
Yep. Dope, man. Love it, love it, love it. So, hey, guys, just like I end every single podcast, every single episode with, information without implementation is delusion, dude. So you've heard a lot of amazing content from a badass. I mean, this is a cat that, place on the beach, dope, crib here in Phoenix, place up in the mountains. Don't get me wrong, he's grinding, but he's doing it from his boat or on the beach, and dude, that's created an epic, awesome freaking life. And success doesn't happen by accident. If you just do and implement the things that Ricky talked about today, you are going to have success. So take some of the information, some of the nuggets that you learned today, dude, and start implementing. And brother, it was a freaking awesome time, man.
So much,
Honor and blessed to have you on the show.
Appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
All right, you guys, you go out there, share these, implement, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Peace out.